Finally, there's news about Bettina's complaint to Sydney University regarding the violent protest against her last year, where the riot squad was called in to remove rowdy activists preventing her from speaking on the fake rape crisis. Last September, Bettina made a formal complaint to the university, naming the key organisers of the protest and asking for action to be taken over breaches to the codes of conduct and to the bullying and harassment regulations. After over 8 months of investigation, Sydney University has finally announced that they are taking disciplinary action against 4 of the 5 students named by Bettina. Apparently one wasn't a student at the time of the protest. A statement from the university claimed they had investigated whether individual respondents had unnecessarily and unreasonably impeded the ability of members of the public and members of the university community to attend the event, whether they had impeded the event from going ahead, whether certain respondents had physically blocked certain attendees, whether respondents had coordinated their conduct with the protest organisers, and whether, if established, the behaviour constituted misconduct under university policy. And they found that some, but not all, of the allegations were substantiated. However, not all were found to be misconduct. The university won't release the names of the students disciplined, nor details of their punishment, claiming they need to protect them because they received abuse when they were named by Bettina last year. Possible disciplinary measures include reprimands, fines, suspensions, and exclusions from the university. No doubt, some details of the action taken by the university will become public because the key troublemakers, particularly Maddie Ward, have been endlessly speaking out in the press, outraged that Bettina would take action against them. These students, and others like them, have been closing down talks on campus for years, and no one has gone after them before. After years of dishing it out, they are shocked to find themselves on the receiving end. Maddie Ward is the key offender. She was the young woman obviously orchestrating the event on the night. Here she is, blowing a kiss at Bettina. And here she is, being forcibly removed by the riot squad. No doubt Ward will be crying victim now that she has to suffer the consequences for her actions. Here's her reaction last year when she discovered Bettina had named her amongst key organisers in her complaint to the university. Along with Jessica Syed, another of the women Bettina named in her complaint, Ward wrote an article for The Guardian claiming Bettina's complaint was an infringement of free speech, an interference of the state in the noble tradition of student activism. Here she is, tweeting proudly that she did indeed organise the whole thing. Yes means yes, no means no. Bettina, Arndt has got to go. Ward is a serial troublemaker. Last year, Ward and Syed were under fire for inciting violence after featuring a suicide bomber on the front page of a student magazine and praising her as a martyr. Ward was also investigated by the university last year for her role in a protest against an anti-abortion group which had a stall on campus. She flashed her tits at them and abused and harassed them. The university's investigation unit recommended Ward be given a semester's suspension for misconduct, yet the university somehow dropped the charges against her. Yes means yes, no means no. Bettina has got to go. Yes means yes, no means no. Bettina. But now, finally, the university has taken some action. We await news as to whether this will have any real consequences for the students concerned. We are delighted that the university is taking responsibility for enforcing their codes of conduct, which protect students and members of the public from bullying and harassment. The issue is not a student's right to protest. That was never in question. It's a part of a healthy intellectual climate for students to make their voices heard when they wish to challenge opinions being expressed on campus. But students don't have the right to intimidate and verbally and physically abuse other students seeking to attend a talk or campus seminar. and students certainly don't have the right to decide who should be allowed to speak. We commend Sydney University on taking a stand against the thuggish tactics being used by left-wing protesters to shut down views they find offensive. It's good to see this university finally moving to ensure free speech. But what's even more important, feminists shouldn't be allowed to shut down the presentation of the true facts about sexual assault on campus. Their campus rape scare campaign has a very dangerous goal: to bully universities into adjudicating rape on campus using lower standards of proof that will see more young men convicted. Feminist activists are already succeeding in corrupting our criminal law system by setting up alternate forms of justice which fail to offer male students normal legal protections. That's why they are so strenuously trying to stop a truth-teller like Bettina exposing what they are doing at our universities. This is why this decision is so important. It sends a strong message that it's not acceptable for small groups of students to seek to shut down speakers raising important issues on campus. It was Sydney University's violent protest against Bettina which prompted the federal government to call an inquiry into free speech on campus, led by former High Court Chief Justice Robert French. This resulted in a national code adopted by the government designed to make freedom of lawful speech a paramount value for university staff, students, and visitors. Hopefully, this decision by the University of Sydney, plus impetus from the French inquiry, will serve to promote healthy debate about controversial issues on campus and put a stop to the silencing of discussion about the campus rape scare campaign. Student groups at other universities were intimidated by the violent Sydney protest from inviting Bettina to speak, particularly after the Union of Students passed a resolution to prevent her talks. She's now recommencing her campus tour, starting next month at the University of New South Wales, and is in discussion with student groups across the country planning future events. The portrait shown here is by Central Coast artist Peter Smeeth, celebrating Bettina's campus tour, now full steam underway in the light of the University of Sydney's sensible decision.
Thanks everybody for supporting me on my YouTube channel. I've got growing numbers of subscribers, which is really exciting. If you'd like to support me financially, go to my donate page on my website. Thanks a lot.